This is the first of our training videos for the top admin management, and this will be a person on your staff who's typically a webmaster or someone who is going to be given the permission level to do some top level administrative duties. In this first video, we're going to take a look at creating different sections and managing those sections, as well as creating user accounts and profiles for the various employees on the staff. In our launch of your website, we will have already created the sections for you, but you can go in at any time and add or hide some of the sections that you may not be using anymore. You'll have control over the second and third tier. Typically, if you do have subsections here at the top, it might be your dining guide, ask the experts, community, and so forth. If it's in the top level there, that is something where we can only change on our end. So just please file a support ticket and we'll be more than happy to make any changes. But the media company will have control over the second tier that also includes a drop header of the sections here. So it's a two-tier system that we're going to be looking at. Once you're in drag and drop is going to be a completely separate course that is required for the webmaster, and we'll go in to show you how easy it is in drag and drop, that after you've created a section, added it, you can simply move it from one area to another. Say if you wanted opinion to be on the right side here of obits, you can go in and you can move it through drag and drop. But since this is not drag and drop training, we're not going to discuss that. However, we'll show you everything that's in the news administration panel, and let's go to that right now. So here's the all familiar news administration panel, which is going to be your URL followed by the / newsroom admin. And we're going to go down to sections, and in order to create a new section, you just click on Add Section. But we'll show you the sections that have already been created in this demo and how you can make some changes. So we're going to click on Sections, and this is going to be the case for you that since we've already created these sections for you, you'll be able to click on this link and see all the different sections that are related here. As you can see, it shows a name, parent, and parent means the top level. So if something is a subdirectory, we'll show you how that works. Also priority, even though in drag and drop you'll be able to move things from right to left and up and down, initially you'll want to go in and prioritize it. And also we'll show you how the links work as well. So let's go ahead and just click on the main local section here. And just to give you an idea, local is going to be that main section right here. So there are a number of categories beneath local, but in this case, local is part of a parent. It's not a child. The children, so to speak, are underneath local. So that's important to remember as we kind of go through this whole system. So since local is a parent, you will not do anything with the parent category. You'll just go in and create local right there. That is a required field. As you can see, there's not a link. That area is blank. And the reason for that is everything that you're working on within the actual website itself, if you go and create a new section, you won't have to create the link. The system will create the link automatically for you. The only time you'll have to go put in a link is if you're creating something outside of the system. You're maybe linking to another website or third party or whatever. So, and I'll show you an example from that. As we go down the list here, you do have some options. One is a box here that says pop-up. Now what that means is, even though it says pop-up, it really probably should have been worded new window. And in fact, it says it right here. Check this if you wish the link to open in a new window. So typically you're not going to click on the pop-up box when you want people to stay on your site, when they're going to content within your site. But that's particularly useful when you're linking to something off your site where you want a new window to open, people to view the content on that outside website, and then they can click to close the window and they're back on your website. So that's always important. The next three areas, thumbnail, large image, and image description, are things that are not applicable to your website at this point. The hide button is very important. The hide button, as you've seen, and if you've taken some other courses here, that all that means is you click hide and something doesn't show live on the website. Hide's going to be very important for sections because you're not ever going to want to delete a section, because if you delete a section, it will delete all the content that's associated with it. So everything that went into the archives, all the news articles for years and years, if you delete a section, it'll delete everything. So that's not good. In fact, we may not even give you permission to delete a section. So if you don't see a red delete button at the bottom, it means you don't have the permission to delete a section, which is a good thing. But instead, if you have a particular section that you are no longer using, this is where you go ahead and click on the hide button, and the section will no longer appear there. Next on the list is first article, and what this means is if you click on this first article box, instead of a new section with an index of stories being created when you create this section, now that's typically if you create a local news section, a sports section, or whatever, it is created in such where it will have different stories showing on a page. It can be up to maybe 15, 20, 30 stories and such. From time to time, you will want to create a section that does not create that index, but instead just shows one article. So in such, the article is the section. If that's the case, click on first article. And finally here, the only other thing that is relevant on this page is priority. And when you initially do this, you go in, and if you want it to appear like in this case, where in the on the live site here, we had local was the first one, multimedia the second one. Let's go back here. You would make it, if you want it to appear on the left side, as the first one, second, third, fourth. You simply go from a left to right sequence if this particular section is part of the parent. Now, we'll show you here in a second what a subdirectory or a child of the parent looks like. This all makes sense to you once you get into this as well. I know it might be a little confusing at first. I went back to the main home page and I clicked on education to give you an example of what a subheader will look like, a subsection of local. And once again, let's go back to show you what I'm referring to. I'm under local here, and now as I go down the list, I've got local, home, business, but education is the fourth one on the list here. So now let's go back to the main, in the news admin section. As you can see, education is in there. That was typed, that was created, but now it is a subsection of local. So make sure that local does show, and this is where you can go in using the pull-down menu to select that. Now, if I wanted education to be a subdirectory of sports or any of the other top parent sections, I would have chose the appropriate one there. Once again, because education is going to be part of the website, there is no link. It's not going to be a pop-up. It's not going to be first article or hide, but as you can see here toward the bottom where it says priority, I did select it as the fourth one, so the fourth one is showing up as it should. By the way, as always, and I need to make sure I don't skip over this, always save your work, and the save buttons are on the bottom right corner. Here's an example on a section called Half Price Fridays, where we actually do put in a link here, And the reason for that is this is a third-party website. So that's the only time that we put in the link. Notice it does have an HTTP colon / in front of it. And that's all you need to do to make sure that it goes off-site. Now in this case, there could be a reason to have it opened up in a new window, and you can choose to do that or keep it to where people just go to the site and then they have to work their way back to your site. But I always do recommend that it opens up a new window. We'll now look at the procedure of creating user accounts. And as a webmaster, you'll be doing this on a regular basis when you get new employees. You'll also need how to either delete or hide these users once a employee may leave your company. So we're back at the site administration area, and at the top here we have users, and you simply click on Add User. Now this actually, because I am in Chrome, it has a tendency to create, to remember the last thing I created there. But in this case, your username will be, typically what we find best is the first initial and last name, all one word, of a particular employee. And in this case, we'll see if somebody named Tom Smith might be in the system or not. I've not checked. I may have done a demo before, but in this case, I'm going to create T. Smith. Give it a password that is going to be something that is not easily detectable. We always recommend it be at least 8 characters, a combination of upper and lowercase, and some other things like that. Now, once you create a password, the user can go in and click on Change Password once they go in and log in for the first time. But I'm going to just go ahead and create something really quickly right here, and it'll ask you to type it in again. And then after you're done, click on Save. Oh, you know what? That one already does exist, so I'm going to change it to T. Smither. Now, actually the reason I did that was I wanted to show you what happens whenever you make a mistake on the site. And it will show you in clear, this red bar will tell you specifically what the problem is. And so if you ever run into any problems on the site, the system will detect it for you. So let me click on Save. I do not believe that there's a username named T. Smither. That's kind of a rare name. Okay, so now you've created the change user, and this is where I need to put in some additional information and give permissions to that particular user. You may have some employees. They may be in your production department, your sales department, maybe in the printing press. People who need to be in the system because they need to appear in the on your staff directory page, which, by the way, we will show you how to create and manage your staff directory page in the drag and drop training. So the news admin training and drag and drop, it does go kind of cross-reference things. But in this particular case, you'll see here where it shows the password. It will not show you specifically what your password was, and that's for security reasons, so people can't get in and determine that. But you are able to change the password. So if a employee mentions to you that they forgot what the password was, you can actually go in here, click on Change Password Form, and once you open that up, it will ask you to enter a new password for this particular person and change it in that way. So you don't have to know the password. Okay, as we move along, you will want to put some personal information, because this information here, first name, last name, and email address, will be used in a staff directory page. So it's not a required field, but it is something that you do want to use. It's also going to be used on bylines, on the article bylines, to give the reader the ability to contact a reporter with an email address. Okay, now the most important part as you kind of go down the list here is staff status. As you can see, it's unchecked by default. And it says right here, designates whether the user can log into this admin site. So if you click on that, that means that they'll be able to log in. So if they try logging in with the username and password you gave them and they're having difficulty, it's saying, it's giving them an error message, always go back to this area here and make sure staff status is chosen here. The only other thing you need to do is here on groups, if you want to give them permission to be able to log in. Now once again, you may have some people who may never need to log into the system. They don't need to have anything to do with the news administration panel or Ask the Expert, Dining Guide, any of the other modules that we gave you. This is where you go down here, as you can see the list. Now this is a list of groups that we will have created for you. Okay, so you should see a list of all your different website modules in here. Now I'm on a Windows machine, so I'm taking, holding down the Control key, and I'm clicking as many or as little as the permissions that are needed for this particular employee. Once you're done with this, all you do is click on Save. Now, once I clicked on Save, this took me back to the users. As you can see, we have a number of users in here. If it's a long list, the quickest way is for me to find it, and it was Tom Smither. So I'm going to try to find T. Smither, and there he is right there. So T. Smither is in the system. Just want to make sure he is there, and so you don't have to do anything more with the user. Now, the next step is we've created the user account, but now we need to create a profile. A profile is very important because that will provide some additional information for their staff directory page. This is where you can upload a mugshot photo. You can put some other information like what their title is and so forth. So we're going to go back to the home page, and we're going to then scroll until we find the area that says Profiles. And it's right under here where it says Universal. I'm going to click on Profiles. I'm going to click Add a Profile. Now the reason that we created the user first is because one of the first things here when we get to Add Profile is a required field. It says User, and this is where we will select from the list there the T. Smither. Now I'm not going to do that to save some time here, but let me kind of walk you through the only other things you really need to worry about. There's going to be a number of items on this particular page, but the only things that you have to insert here are the things I'm going to mention. So right here where it says Large Image, choose File. This is where you're going to click on that and you're going to upload their mugshot. Now typically mugshots are very, very small, so don't feel that you have to upload a JPEG image that is really high in resolution. It can be relatively low. It can be somewhere in the neighborhood of about 100 by 100 pixels, somewhere around there. I would recommend that when you shoot all their mugshots for the staff directory page, that everything's consistent, that you shoot it from a certain distance where all the photos look very, very professional in that case. But you just go ahead and you do that. Typically, you're not going to want to put bio information or anything else. With most of the Morris websites that we recommend for the staff directory page, we do put in a title right here, and it could be such as editor. And there are required fields, as you can see here: city, zip code, date of birth. Now, the reason it's asking for date of birth and zip code and all that is because this system is the same one that is used for the normal users that come to the website who register to create a user-contributed account. And what we're currently asking the users is to provide a bunch of information for us that including their birthday, their gender, where they're from, and so forth. If for some reason you don't know the date of birth of this particular employee, I understand that. You probably don't. They're new. So you would just simply go in and just give it any type of birthday, and you can tell the employee that once they get into, they're able to see their profile, that they can actually update it or actually hide that information, because a lot of people don't want that information out there. So one other area though that you will definitely type in addition to city, zip code, date of birth, and sex, is the phone number, and that's going to be the phone number that's going to be on that staff directory page. It may be in the byline information as well. So once you're done with that, you can click on Save, and now you have created both a user account and a profile for them, and you're all set up. They're able to log into the system. You've got their bylines created, and you're now set to go on to some other things. We're going to go to a second video now where we'll discuss additional top admin level capabilities.